Alright, guys, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out a couple of days ago. I went and saw it with a couple of friends today, and my original analysis of the movie was based on all the advertising and whatnot, was that it was going to be a comic book version of a Star Wars movie, which, to my delight, it actually was. I've never read any of the comics. I don't know anything about them. Um, I know that it has a very loyal fan following. Considering every time I saw something that came out preview wise, or a clip here, a clip there, a picture, um, some people would say, this is accurate, this is not, this is what needs to be done. Um, so going into this movie, like I can't sit there and judge it like I could, say Batman or Superman, where I've read a lot of the comics and I know a great deal about the character. So I went into this movie, complete fresh perspective. Um, the blinders were on per se for the critiquing of it. So all I could do is judge it based on what was actually in the movie. The movie starts off. For any of you guys that are wondering, this may or may not have spoilers in it. So if you're kind of worried about that, I'd probably stop watching now because when I get talking about stuff, um, I don't really think about all the spoilers or if I'm spoiling for someone. So if you're worried about that, just shut this off right now. Um, but the movie starts off. You're following Star Lord as a kid. His mom's dying, has cancer, I believe. Um, and then when he runs out of the hospital, he gets abducted by aliens and whatnot. And the guy that plays Merle in The Walking Dead actually plays the guy that um, abducts Star Lord. And he's all blue and everything, and has like a metal thing in his head. Like he's kind of like weird makeup, but you can definitely tell it's him. He also played in Mallrats. He was Brody's girlfriend's dad, the bald guy, the guy who gets the chocolate covered pretzel. That guy is a pretty good actor in almost anything he's in. He makes you like creepy, or he makes you like kind of bad guy, or he makes you enjoy the characters that you really shouldn't trust. Um, but that was an interesting guy, an interesting character in the movie. Another cameo, well, not cameo, but another part, a very small part per se, was the um I forget what the curly haired guy in Talladega Nights. Funny guy. He always works with Will Ferrell. That guy plays like a police officer inside the uh, Nova people. Um, and that guy, like usually, like I'm used to watching him and stuff that he's just kind of plays airhead, buffoonery. Um, funny guy, and he played in this movie, and it was really refreshing to see him in something where I'm like, oh, this guy's got some credibility here. Wonderful to see those people play in the parts that they played in. Especially adding, knowing that they're adding to the Marvel universe, which again, the whole time I was watching this movie, um, I kept having to remind myself that this was adding to the mythos that we have so far. You could watch the movie in its own right and walk away from it and be like, cool, all right, I got a good action, a good sci-fi movie. Or you could walk away from it and think, wow, we just got a bigger version of what was going on for the Marvel universe, and both apply. And tip of my hat, I thought this was going to be a pretty weak installment for the Marvel movies, and it certainly wasn't. I liked it. I would say it's probably like I haven't been disappointed with any of the comic book movies this year. They've all been really good. I haven't seen Sin City, but outside that, like all the other comic book movies that I've seen, have been really they brought their A game. So I'm really excited for where they're going to be going with the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. Um, Now the characters, Star Lord, I thought his character was really funny. You kind of got where he was coming from on being the traitor type person and the risk taker and the kind of the Han Solo of the whole thing. I bought it. It was pretty funny. The intro of the movie, one of the best intros to a Marvel movie to date, where he's just walking around and he's probably doing stuff that you or I would be doing on a planet. Just got his earphones on and kind of dancing away with old crazy music, and music that we would uh, we would recognize if we flipped through the channels on the radio. Um, so I thought that actor, I bought the actor as that character. Like I said, I don't know anything about the character in the comic book, but I like that character a lot. I really felt that he was a relatable character, someone that you kind of felt through the story. You felt um, you felt what he was going through, and you really bought he brought a sense of realism to that role. So I think what they accomplished there, I thought they did really good. The highlight of the film for me was the character of Groot. I thought it was going to be a Rocket Raccoon that I would, just, you know, fall in love with on screen. Just think he was the greatest thing. And although he was a great character, I felt for the character of Groot a lot. I think he really kind of took off. I think in that regard, I think that he appeals, and the simplisticness of him. He appeals to the kids will be able to look at it and be like, they see some, type of, for them, eye candy, which is because he's really cool CGI, really cool character, fun character. And I think, like, relating this universe to the Star Wars type universe, like, I think this should have been what Jar Jar Binks was, something that, you could, just get that kind of happy feeling when every time he came on screen, and someone that you like to watch instead of that Misa Misa type bullshit that they had in Phantom Menace. So I think what they brought, with that character, I think they brought that, the kid, the kids are going to like the Rocket Raccoon. They're going to like Groot because they're both, even though they're completely CGI and you can tell they're CGI, like it was really the characters you bought. And I had no problem with the way those characters fit into with the story at all. It was just really, really good characterization. And even though he only says, like, I am Groot, and well, then he says, we, so he says like four words the whole time. But, the CGI, just the expression on the character, it said a lot. So I think, in that case, less is more. And I think they really brought that with this character. Like, for someone that didn't really have much to say, he really spoke mountains of stuff. Speaking of that, Rocket Raccoon, his rebuttals off of every time he would talk, and then Groot would say, "I'm Groot," and then he would, continue in the conversation and say, "Right, blah 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 blah," and then continue the conversation. And it's like he understood what Groot was saying, but even though all of us were like, "Wait, but he didn't say anything," so you kind of like, from my perspective, considering I don't know anything about the comics, I don't know anything about anything besides this movie. Like, I watched it and I was like, is he really saying something else and he can really tell what's going on, or is he just internal for the raccoon? Like, I don't know. Like, I just found it really funny, and it was just really kind of I don't know, just cleverly done. I thought it was, both those characters were a highlight for me. Um, the one character, Grax, I think was his name. He Batista. For those of you that don't know, um, Dave Batista from the WWE is in this movie, and he plays that character. Um, at first I wasn't impressed with him at all. I didn't get, like, I just thought he was big dumb muscle. When I realized that he didn't understand that we were talking in metaphors and whatnot, like, it made that, all of his lines that much more funny, because when the guy's like, when Star Lord's like, like that, and he's like, why would my finger touch my neck, or something like that. Like, it had me rolling, because it's like he didn't get certain things because he was taking everything so literal. And to me, I loved that. I thought that was just really great and charming, as in complete left field from what I thought he was going to be, which again was, big dumb muscle, kind of the Hulk of the group, where he's just beating shit, and that was kind of the case with him, but he, Batista brought a lot more to the role than what I thought was initially going to be there. Again, since I don't know anything about the comics, I can't say if that's true to form or not. So, but I really enjoyed his performance in that, which I really didn't think so. I thought he was going to be the low mark of this film, and he wasn't. Um, and then I forget the character's name, but uh, Zoe plays the Green Lady. She plays Uhura in Star Trek too, which I think is kind of ironic because Captain Kirk's always trying to screw green women, and then here Uhura is, green. Which I don't know. Like I never was impressed with her in Star Trek. I always thought that like her and Spock lines in Star Trek were really kind of crappy. Like I didn't buy the relationship, and I thought she was kind of a poor actress. I didn't really care for anything she'd done. I never cared to see anything else she was in because her performances never grabbed me. So going into this, I thought she was going to be like the old time low point of the film. Like every time she got on there, I'd be like, oh god, all right, piss break time. And that wasn't the case. She really was a strong actress in this film. Tip of my hat to her on it. Like, I'm not a fan of her still, but I enjoyed the character a lot. And what she brought to the role, um, she was charming. She wasn't, the love interest per se. Like, she actually had a story arc. All of them pretty much had story arcs, and I appreciated all of that. And the sense for them coming together, it was just as creative as what they did for Avengers. How all the characters came together and they meshed pretty well, but at first they didn't, and you saw the frustration and the tension and the hostility. But this movie brought them together, these characters together in a believable way. And I'm hoping, honestly, like this is how it goes for with the DC universe. How people are sitting there talking trash about, they're bringing in Aquaman and Green Lantern and Wonder Woman and Batman, and it's all these characters shouldn't be in there. And whatnot. Well, this movie right here took 5 characters that I didn't know anything about, and honestly, I would go see another movie. So it made me a fan. Like I'm a fan. I may not. I probably won't go buy any comics, but if they come out with another movie or something, or if I see a cool action figure, like I'm gonna pick it up because I enjoyed the movie a lot. So I'm hoping that DC can do the same thing with their franchises that Marvel has done with this. Again, tip of my hat. Like they really did a good job. Um, the villain of the movie. You did see Thanos. Um, he wasn't a big threat, but he was behind some things. Like you could definitely tell, like he's got a lot going on in him, with whatever he's doing, in the bigger sense of the Marvel universe. Um, and it's one of those things where it's like they keep throwing those breadcrumbs, like oh Thanos is over here in Avengers, oh Thanos is over here in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's like when he finally shows up and is just the ultimate badass. Like I look forward to seeing that. So like for me, I wasn't pissed off when I heard he wasn't the main bad guy in the movie. Um, I was kind of curious because again, I don't know much about Marvel comics, so I'm not sure like who the bad guy should be. But I was kind of disappointed that they didn't use him. But once I saw what they actually did with him, and it's like I'm not disappointed at all. Like it's one of those things where it's like I can wait, and once it finally shows up, it'll be worth it. Um, the bad guy that they did have in the movie, oh shoot, I forgot his name. Um, I forget his name offhand. I apologize to anyone that any diehard Guardians of the Galaxy fans. He played a really good villain in the movie. Um, his power. I don't know. Like I bought everything he brought to the screen. I think he was probably the highlight of the film for me. Not in the typical sense where it's cool to like the bad guy because he's the bad guy. Just like he really brought an intensity to this film that it's kind of hard to put words on it. Like you felt like this guy was a legitimate threat. And again, since I've never seen anything about the comics, I don't know anything about him. So like I'm looking at this guy and just from the way he acts, and I don't know how much that was what was written or how much was the actor brought to the role. Or how much of it is just the character itself. I don't know. Like I think this character worked really really well. Um, enough that by the end of the movie, when they're all fighting him, like I really wonder like what the hell's gonna happen. And this is spoiling it for you, so those of you that don't want to hear it, earmuffs, or just shut off the damn video. But Groot dies and like that took me by surprise because I didn't like being my favorite character in this movie. Like I was kind of like not you know not tearing up, but I was kind of like, oh, dude, you killed him, really? Oh, that sucks. But the way he dies, I really like that. Really got to me. Saving his friends and just being a great character. Like to me, I think he was probably the most heroic out of all of them, even more than Star Lord, because he kind of starts off, and I kind of get the feeling that this guy would die for his friends. This guy, um, would do the right thing, which all of the characters by the end of the movie get there. But he kind of does that the whole way through. Just a very self-sacrificing character. Um, but when I saw that, and realizing that wow, this bad guy has some legitimacy to him, and he just took out Groot. This is messed up. So the danger level that this villain brought, a lot scarier than say Doctor Doom from the Fantastic Four in the movies. That was abysmal. Or Dracula from Blade Trinity. It's like those are some pretty pretty bad villains. Or the makeup lady from Catwoman. I don't know where they were going with that one. But this villain fit in the universe. He seemed like a really dangerous threat. And the story, I don't know, going into this movie, like the story felt like it was a story that needed to be told. And I was pretty glad that I went to go see it. Like I said, I was kind of iffy on it from the beginning, but um, it was worth the watch. I would go see it. Um, Now the end of the movie, um, if you wait for the after credits, you will see Howard the Duck. I was completely taken aback because I had heard rumors that Tony Stark was going to be in this movie, even if it was just a cameo. So by the end of the movie, like I thought we were going to get, Tony Stark. When that wasn't it, and I saw it was Howard the Duck, I was completely jaw dropped. I don't know what they're going to do with that in the future. Um, I'm sure it'll probably be better than the last movie that was made with him in it. Um, Again, it's one of those, because I have, little people that I hang out with, take them to the movies, and I'm friends with their family, and we all kind of go out to comic movies together. It'll be a fun movie for them, and I don't know if us adults are going to be sitting there going, yeah, go Howard, go Howard. But I'm sure they'll get my money. But that was really kind of a surprise, a nice surprise. If you haven't seen this movie, go see it. I highly recommend it. Um, I'd recommend it for any, if you got any kids that you have, that may want to go see a family movie. This is definitely it. Like I said, um, I originally thought it was going to be a comic book version of Star Wars. That's exactly what this is. I'd recommend it, even if you're not a fan of the comics or never heard of it like me. You're going to enjoy it. You won't regret it. So, all right, guys, I'm out. Keep on geeking out, guys.